3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you. Like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Whoa, whoa. And if you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of
when we are called to help our friends in need. You can
count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there.
And I know when I need it, I can
count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. No, you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you.
Wow, what about that? I bet you never saw Broadway in the bathroom. That's unique, I believe. Special, oh, by the way, you know, the part of the shaving the heads and everything like that? God, nature, and old age shaved my head even before this program. But we want to give special thanks to Miguel Cervantes. He's a friend of CURE, and he's the star of Broadway's Hamilton, along with his friends, for putting together Broadway in the bathroom. Working from home, it seems, has taken on a whole new meaning for all of us. Good evening, and welcome to the first Unite to Cure Epilepsy virtual event. I'm Mike Barnicle. We hope you've gotten all straightened up and settled in front of your screens for what we promise will be a great night. Together, we're going to make the best out of our virtual circumstances to unite and raise money for a cure for epilepsy. We have a packed hour ahead. We'll hear from Susan Axelrod, more from Miguel Cervantes, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, a performance from rock star Hall of Famer Nils Lofgren from the E Street Band, and an exclusive performance just for us from country superstar Eric Church. We're also going to be sharing some incredible personal stories from our CURE community. So if you could, please have a candle at the ready for something special we're going to try a bit later in the show. And please share your photos at #UniteForCure. This evening is called Unite to Cure Epilepsy: Tenacity, Discovery, and Hope. All three words play a big role if you have a child and discover a child has epilepsy. You hope that someone will discover something that will help that child. And you have to have the tenacity as parents, as a family, and for your child or anyone afflicted with epilepsy to keep on going. Don't quit, just keep on going. The fact is, 1 in 26 Americans will develop epilepsy in their lifetime. And for the last 2 decades, CURE has been leading the charge to develop treatments, interventions, and cures for this complicated and devastating disease. And that means we are virtually together tonight to celebrate and, of course, raise money. Our goal this evening is to raise $1.7 million. We want to give a special thanks to our So whether it's $25 or $25,000, every dime will get us one step closer to a cure. I'm here tonight for personal reasons. Our daughter Julia, my wife Ann Finucane, and I, we knew that something was wrong with Julia when she was about 2 years of age. And at 3, she was diagnosed with epilepsy. And the seizures began. And they were frightening, truly frightening. It's a mystery of the brain that we don't know how it operates. We don't know much about it. But we found out a lot about it through tenacity, discovery, and hope. And today, Julia has graduated from college, and she's a remarkable young woman with more tenacity than anyone in our household has, and more hope, too. Now, if you know CURE's founder, Susan Axelrod, you know she is the embodiment of tenacity. My wife, Ann Finucane, and I had an opportunity earlier to sit down and talk with Susan and about the founding of CURE, how far we've come, and what the future looks like. Susan Axelrod, you know, my wife and I, Ann Finucane, every time we heard about CURE and its origins, your name was identified with it because of all the work you have put in, you and David have put into building this organization and making people aware of what it does and what it can do. But I want to start off this little conversation we're having by talking to you as Susan Axelrod, mother. Do you remember what your reaction was the first time you heard the word your daughter has epilepsy?
When my firstborn daughter, Lauren, developed her epilepsy, she was 7 months old. I had no idea what epilepsy was, and I found her one morning in her crib and actually thought she had died. She was blue and she was limp. And I picked her up, panicked, and I called my mom and I said, here's what's happening. And I tried to describe the seizure and I said, is this normal? I mean, I do remember saying that, which is sort of insane, but I think I was in shock. And I said, is this normal? Do babies do this? And she said, no. At that time, they were not using the word epilepsy very freely. They called what she was having as, they called it a idiopathic seizure disorder.
Hi, Susan. The epileptic form, idiopathic, like you, they didn't use the word epilepsy with us. A non-specific seizure disorder, sort of all the words that surround it, and because they're not saying it, you're thinking, oh, good, they're not saying it.
Right.
Until the day you look at a report and there you see it. So we had many of the same kinds of experiences. But of course, because of the nature of epilepsy and seizure disorders and the very essence of what CURE is about, these things are quite uncertain. What is the cause versus the effect is a mystery. And even all these years later, you know, Lauren is almost 40, Julie is just past 30, and, you know, nothing is all that certain. We know what they have. We know the damage it's done. We were maybe a decade later, so some of the advances really made a difference for us and our own daughter, in so much as I think they were able to make some earlier interventions.
150,000 Americans are diagnosed with epilepsy every year. During this hour that you're watching, 17 families, 17 individuals, 17 people will find out that someone close to them in their family will be diagnosed with epilepsy. All of this is occurring as our culture and our country confronts COVID-19.
There is no doubt that the need to address COVID is monumental and paramount at this time. But epilepsy doesn't stop because of COVID, and that's what's super hard for us. The work can't be done at the pace that it was always being done at. And so at CURE, we've recognized that and addressed it through putting out some special grants to support researchers in areas that they didn't anticipate, nobody anticipated them needing. I always say we're our epilepsy researchers' greatest cheerleaders because we believe in what you're doing, we believe in the promise of what you're doing, and we want to be there to support you. And these times are challenging, and we don't want you to give up. We are not giving up on you.
So tonight is about the long-term quest, the continual quest for the next magic bullet. And Susan Axelrod, you have been in the forefront of this quest for many, many years. From 1998, when CURE was organized, when you started it, for people watching, there is hope, especially given how far we've all come, and just in terms of acknowledging the effects, the impacts of epilepsy and brain damage. What do you tell people watching this tonight about the progress that's been made and the progress that you hope to continue to be made?
Just 20 some years ago, we actually changed the conversation in the epilepsy research community from treating seizures with drugs at whatever cost to actually trying to develop both treatments, interventions, and ultimately cures by understanding what's going on in the brains of these kids or adults, but in any brain that becomes epileptic.
This tenacity that you have to apply, you just cannot blink on it because otherwise the progress just isn't going to get made.
I want this to be a world where this doesn't happen anymore. I want epilepsy to end. I want it not to be destroying and costing lives. That's the goal. That's the importance of coming together tonight.
Hello, we are the Bush family from Knoxville, Tennessee.
I'm Julie in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
Hi, we're the Monis family from Paoli, Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm Ray from Yorul, France.
This is Lori Isom from the University of Michigan.
My name is Lauren, and this is Adam.
My name is Kristen Godale.
My name is Dr. Jack Perrin.
My name is Nolan, and I went to CURE Epilepsy for my baby sister Alice.
We unite to cure epilepsy for Cam.
For my son, Rowan.
For my cousin, Hannah.
Because of my 5-year-old grandson.
I unite to cure epilepsy for my son, Silas.
For our daughter, Nora.
Because this is one of the most common neurological diseases.
We want a cure for epilepsy so that he never has to have any more seizures. To me, a cure for epilepsy means freedom. Freedom for Silas to choose whatever activities he prefers.
A cure to us means a life free of seizures, medication.
To us, a cure for epilepsy means that no other family has to endure the pain of this debilitating disease.
CURE represents financial support for basic scientists and clinicians that study and research epilepsy.
CURE gives me hope because it has given my daughter a voice.
CURE has provided a laser focus and urgency for epilepsy researchers.
A community of brave and brilliant people tackling epilepsy head on so that maybe our daughter's future will be brighter.
I want people to know that epilepsy does not define me.
That research for epilepsy is severely underfunded.
That epilepsy is curable.
That epilepsy can and will be conquered.
We unite to cure epilepsy.
We unite to cure epilepsy.
Tenacity, discovery, hope.
Tenacity, discovery, hope.
Tenacity, discovery, hope.
That was great, seeing all those faces of some of the people in the audience tonight. And what was really great about it is that the children you saw, the adults that you saw, any of the people you saw who were afflicted with epilepsy, especially the younger people, well, there's something that you can get that they don't dispense at a hospital or a doctor's office about epilepsy, and it's called self-confidence. It's about instilling self-confidence in a child, especially a child who may have epilepsy. It doesn't make them different, it just makes them even more special. So we'd like to welcome everybody tonight. We have an audience from all over the country, including France. I think President Macron is watching right now. Bonsoir, mes amis. As you heard earlier, my daughter was diagnosed as a child, but epilepsy can occur at any age and is often acquired due to illness or trauma. That was the case of Phil Duran Jr., whose story we shared in 2008, and it still reminds us that we must fight with tenacity and continue in our unwavering efforts to find a cure.
Philip was a normal young teenager in high school in town here at Ignatius when he was struck with encephalitis one weekend, and he was a junior, and that pretty much began the course and the journey which he's embarked upon here the last 20 years.
I was down at North Avenue Beach with my friends, and my friends told me that that's where I had my first seizure. I wanted to be a lawyer, but that's just hasn't, well, because of all the seizures and different things that have happened to me, I haven't been able to do that.
He was normal, you know, and all of a sudden one day everything turned upside down. Somebody put him in a only food mill or a processor or something and changed his life.
I take Dilan, Keppra, Risperdal, and phenobarbital.
He had lots of episodes under lots of precarious circumstances. Most recently, he lost half of his spleen a couple months ago because he had a seizure, must have fallen on his arm. I can take a deep breath, and all of a sudden, Philip will rush into my mind with some recent calamity or tragedy or trauma or something like that, and I'm immediately reminded about the kind of courage and commitment he has to leading a normal life, and it always helps me keep my life in focus. He's made me a better person and hopefully a better father.
A long time ago, I told one of my friends at work that my dad was going to rent the United Center out for our party when they find the cure. And maybe we'll invite you.
As you may have noted on the screen, we have a sad note to include this evening. Phil Sr. and his family were planning on watching with us this evening, but sadly, he passed away just a few days ago after a long, brave struggle against cancer. So for Phil Jr. as well as Phil Sr., we all must keep fighting by funding the research that will lead to a cure. And then we're going to have that party at the United Center. In Phil's memory, and for all epilepsy fighters, please, if you can, remember to give tonight. Here are a few ways to give. You can text UNITE to 202-858-1233. You can do it by phone at 312-255-1801, or online at cureepilepsy.org/UNITE 2020. Last year, we introduced you to another cure hero, 15-year-old Michael Platt. Michael had dreams of becoming an Olympic gymnast, but an epilepsy diagnosis turned his life upside down. Well, we're all in for a treat tonight because Michael sent us a special message just for us. Take a look.
Hello, for those of you who were able to join us for last year's CURE Chicago benefit, welcome back. It's great to see you again. And for those of you guys who are joining for the first time, welcome and thank you for supporting CURE. As you saw in the video, my childhood with epilepsy forced me to change my life. I might not be an Olympic gymnast, but I am doing something that I love to do and helping others at the same time. So I know how important a cure for epilepsy is. So if you donate $25 or more tonight, you will be entered into a raffle where I will ship a dozen of my cupcakes right to your door.
That's not a bad deal he just offered. I can attest, these are delicious. I'm going to have a cupcake and then a little Lipitor. So try and get your hands on these cupcakes right now. You can donate now. The donations are already coming in tonight, right now. We see you out there. Kay Henricks, Craig Albert, Mary Kate Dowling, Lynn Fleischer, and many others. It's the cupcake. Now I'd like to introduce you to Kelly Cervantes. She's a CURE board member, host of our podcast, Seizing Life, writer and epilepsy advocate, but her most important title is mother. Kelly recently, with all social distancing and COVID guidelines in consideration, sat down with Cindy Angelou, mother to mother, as Cindy shared her story.
Today, I'm sitting with Cindy Angelou, a fellow epilepsy warrior who, like me, understands the everyday struggles of caring for a young child with epilepsy.
Remember Auntie Kelly?
Yeah. Cindy, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with us today and sharing your family story. Who is Vera? Tell me about your daughter.
Vera means brave warrior, and she is completely that. She's so fierce and she's so brave. She's really bubbly, really goofy, really fun. She loves to read, she loves to jump, she loves bubbles. She loves to boss us around.
Keep going. Keep going. You got it.
So Vera has Sturge-Weber syndrome.
Yep.
What are the signs of that? Tell us a little about how it presents.
So it's a vascular malformation. There's 3 components to it: your brain, your eye, and your face. So in Vera's case, she has an overabundance of blood vessels across the right side of her face, in her right eye, and then on the right side of her brain. She has a port wine stain, so we sort of get that removed with laser treatments. She's had glaucoma surgery, and she has the glaucoma tested pretty much every 3 months.
Girl, that was such a long time, baby.
What a long... But for the brain, damaged cells are blocking the blood flow. And so that's what's causing the seizures. And you never kind of know when a seizure is going to happen. You don't know how it's going to present. We had seen Vera pulling herself up to stand in about February. And then come April, she was having these new seizures and she couldn't stand up. It was like seeing her take so many steps backwards. That's so heartbreaking, and that can happen at any time now. So it's like she learned to walk, and we're so grateful and we're so proud, but then I know that if the right seizure happens, that could take its toll on her abdomen or on her brain and being able to know how to walk again.
It's the ugliest dance you can imagine. It's this 2-step forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
It's okay, Mommy's here.
Push.
You can do it.
Push.
You can do it.
Push.
Oh my goodness!
Come on!
Yeah!
It's such a tricky balance, this medication tightrope that we walk, trying to figure out what meds will work and what ones won't, and what ones our loved one can tolerate, and in the hopes that, fingers crossed, maybe they have a few less seizures. And I don't think that people realize that these pills aren't a cure. They are a Band-Aid. And you're just hoping that that Band-Aid sticks.
It's strong medicine, and it's something that coupled with all of that's going on in her brain, it's a lot for a little body to handle.
Yeah.
With all Sturge Weber babies, there's pretty much only 3 different types of medicines you can use to treat it before you have to have a hemispherectomy, which means you have to take out that hemisphere of the brain, the good and the bad cells. These kiddos are just sort of losing time right now in the pandemic, and we're all flying blind here, and that's the scariest part. I don't know if, like, today she might have a seizure, and then we might have to end up in a hospital where we don't want to be right now.
It's not going anywhere. Epilepsy doesn't care that there's a global pandemic right now.
Bubble. Good job, Bubbles.
Epilepsy is so underfunded in the research realm compared with other neurological disorders, and we just have to make up that difference. We have to get researchers in their labs focused on finding the cures and not just another treatment that comes with side effects.
Good job! Yay!
What gives you hope?
I think what gives us hope is the fact that people like CURE are not stopping the fight. Vera, stand up. Good job. Wow, good job, Vera. I want people to be able to look at her and seeing her laughing and playing and talking as much. She's talking so much now. And just see her being a kid and then morphing into whatever she ends up being. Like, I just want her to have the best life possible, and for me, that means a life that's seizure-free.
Hello again. As you just saw, Vera is an amazing little girl living with epilepsy. But as vibrant as Vera is on screen, it is nothing compared to being in her presence. It was towards the end of my first visit with Vera when she noticed the ladybug tattoo on my wrist that I had gotten on what should have been my daughter Adelaide's 4th birthday. My Adeladybug passed away just 5 days shy of that 4th birthday last October. After seizures had ravaged her body, her brain began to shut down and was unable to develop and progress as it should. It was in my arms and surrounded by love that she took her final breaths. Vera was enthralled with my tattoo. I told her that it's a ladybug for a very special little girl. Buh, she repeated. That's right, bug. Cindy told me that later that night when she was giving Vera a bath, that she kept pointing to her wrists, saying, "Bah, bah." That's right, sweet girl. You too are a beautiful warrior just like my fierce Adelaide. You have to keep fighting the seizures, symptoms, and side effects, but know that it is the responsibility of your family, friends, and loved ones to fight right alongside with you. That we have to do this together. Epilepsy monitoring units are great. New treatments even better, but what we desperately need are true answers. True cures. Because no parent should have to hold their child while they seize. No individual should have to live with the anxiety and fear of wondering when and where they will be when the next seizure hits. No one should have to wake in the morning realizing that their loved one never will because SUDEP has taken them in the night. And no one should have to hold their daughter while she takes her final breaths because epilepsy has ravaged her brain beyond repair. No. I promised my bug, my Adeladybug, that I would not stop fighting. That I would not let her struggles and her life to have been in vain. So tonight, I ask you to stand with me in support of epilepsy research. Because we cannot will or wish epilepsy away. Believe me, I tried. No. Only research can do that. And there is no organization in the world more dedicated to patient-focused research than CURE. I may have lost my daughter, but I have not lost hope that there are cures out there waiting to be discovered. Science didn't catch up to my Adelaide, but with your support, CURE can fund the researchers anxiously awaiting the opportunity to find those cures, to help us push science forward for Vera and for all of the others impacted by epilepsy all over the world. So please, donate in memory of your Adelaide, in honor of your Vera, and for all of the beautiful bugs yet to come.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta. I'm the Chief Medical Correspondent for CNN. And you might have seen me at some point over the last several months reporting on COVID-19. I have to tell you, it's been a remarkable time, and I don't think there's a single person anywhere on the planet who has not been affected by this pandemic in some ways. It's been tragic. At times it's been mind-boggling. And yet there are also stories of people who are rising up, doing the right thing, even though they didn't have to. Doing the right thing to help someone else, even a stranger. Doing the right thing even when no one else was looking. It's part of the reason I wanted to join you tonight, because CURE is one of those organizations. I've known of CURE for a long time. Even though I'm a reporter, I'm also a neurosurgeon. I've seen firsthand the impact that epilepsy has had on people's lives and their families and their whole community. You know, while we're in the midst of a pandemic, it doesn't mean that diseases like epilepsy simply go away. They are still there, and the research to learn more about what happens to the brain and body in those with epilepsy and how to best care for people is more important than it's ever been. I have to tell you, if there's one thing that this pandemic has reminded me of is that science is more important than ever. It's what we have turned to when we need answers, when we need a cure, when we need a way out. Science is what we can count on. And that's why we are all here, because CURE continues to fight to make that science possible. Everything about research is harder now with limited time in the lab and more safety protocols to follow and additional funds that are needed for the extra equipment. But I promise you this, it is worth it. Years ago, I met a little girl with intractable epilepsy. Her name was Charlotte Figge. At one point in her life, Charlotte was having 300 seizures a week. Her mom, Paige, told me that she would just hold Charlotte and her little baby Bjorn and just constantly feel her seize, not knowing if she would survive or she would simply stop moving. It was heartbreaking, but it also made me redouble my efforts as a doctor and as a journalist and as a supporter of organizations like CURE. The story we're about to share with you speaks to the incredible lengths people will go through to get seizure control, the difficult choices that have to be made, and the lifelong effects on both the patients and their families. I'm honored to be here tonight to support an organization that accelerates research for these families, provides hope for them, and is focused always on doing the right thing.
Julie is 3.5 years older than me. Her first seizure was a few weeks before I was born, and I didn't really understand what it meant until I saw her first seizure when I was about 4. And my dad was holding my sister on the ground as she was shaking, convulsing, and I was just standing there in just complete shock, didn't know what was going on. As the years progressed, so did Julie's epilepsy, and they started putting on her all these different medications, and she was just drugged up the whole time. She's been through 3 brain surgeries. Unfortunately, when she turned about 16 or 17 is when the seizures started coming back. They were a lot worse, and my parents had to make the decision to have Julie undergo a hemispherectomy. They removed about 85% of the left side of her brain. My mom stayed in Cleveland every night in an uncomfortable little chair next to her bed, and my dad would fly out every weekend, and I would go to my grandparents' house, aunts and uncles, family, friends. I had to celebrate my 14th birthday in a cafeteria at a rehab center in Cleveland. You know, being 14, I'm like, well, this isn't fair. But my sister just had half of her brain removed. Who am I to say what's fair? I often ask myself, what are my responsibilities going to be for my sister? You know, what happens if 20, 30 years down the line, if my parents are no longer able to care for her? What am I going to have to do to make sure that she's okay? Seeing everything that my sister has been through, with all the medication, all the therapy, all the surgeries, you know, all of the pain that she's had to endure, I want to do anything I can to make sure nobody else loses somebody the way we might have lost Julie.
Hi everyone, I'm Nils Lofgren. As you've seen in our last story, epilepsy affects every single member of the family every moment of every day. Now, the love Michael has for his sister Julie is a truly beautiful and inspiring thing to see. And God bless their parents, Susan and Jim, for keeping hope and love alive in their family. My wife Amy and I have known David and Susan Axelrod now for years, and we've watched them navigate this difficult path with dignity and hope. We cherish their friendship, and we're honored to help this wonderful CURE family here tonight and around the world. Now, I'd like to sing a song of mine called Blue Skies that speaks to the hope and strength that the love of family provides. I'll miss singing with Lauren Axelrod and the fabulous Heart Zingers tonight, but Amy and I send them our love and look forward to the next time. Now, tonight we're here to give hope to all the people and families living with epilepsy that there can be a different path and a cure. With your generosity, CURE will continue to fund the critical research that one day gets us there. So please, tonight help us in reaching our end goal, a world without epilepsy. And now here's Blue Skies. I look around and I see children homeless and hungry, and I walk to the corner store and I see kids stealing to finance a school. TV's gotten good at one thing, how to market human suffering. Turn it on and 80 times a day, you see tragedy stuck on instant replay. What about the people that ain't been swallowed up? Children born to two people in love. The hurting, the choose to fight instead of die. Ones that look up and see blue skies, blue skies. Yeah, I see the blue skies. Times I've been so down and lost, I'm gonna breathe hope, whatever the cost. And when I look into my baby's eyes, I see those very blue skies. How can I enjoy this beautiful day with my sweetheart so far away? I can daydream of her loving touch, and remember she loves me just as much. What about the people that ain't been swallowed up? you. God bless you all. Let's keep this beautiful healing going that Cure Epilepsy is doing with your great help. Take care. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Beth Dean, and I'm the CEO of CURE.
And I'm Stacy Piggott, the chair of CURE's board of directors. On behalf of the entire board, I would like to thank everyone from all corners of the U.S. for being with us tonight. And a special thank you to Mike Barnicle and to all of our featured guests for giving their time and talents to be part of our first annual virtual event, Unite to Cure Epilepsy.
As you've been watching this evening, you've seen that our event this year is different. The pandemic has challenged us to think differently, and think differently we did. While we couldn't gather together to share our passion in finding a cure, we have been able to create programs that bring people together from all over the community. People with epilepsy, their family and friends, clinicians and researchers, and all our volunteers, helping us to truly unite to cure epilepsy. So tonight, we're celebrating and engaging with people from all over the United States, highlighting the forces that drive cure in the community each and every day: tenacity, discovery, and hope.
We'd like to recognize our volunteers, our sponsors, and our supporters from all over the country. We'd like to especially thank our friends of CURE in the New York and Boston areas. Like so many of you, they personally know the impact epilepsy has on a family and have generously dedicated themselves to funding research to find a cure. From California to Chicago to Miami and so many places in between, this community has united in support of CURE. We would also like to thank the CURE community members who created their own virtual fundraisers and asked their friends and family to join us tonight and support this important cause. Thank you to all of you for watching us tonight.
So to all of you out there, the research that we fund to find a cure for epilepsy is only possible with your help. Your commitment, your involvement, and your donations are critical to our mission, funding research to find a cure. Your generosity is essential to helping us deliver our shared vision, a world without epilepsy.
We are truly grateful for your tremendous support and your commitment to cure epilepsy.
Thank you, Stacy and Beth. You know, if you're out there and been watching this, you don't have to go to any dictionary to find the definition of tenacity and hope. Just remember what you saw, the Schneider family, Vera, Kelly, and Cindy earlier, before the Schneider family. That's tenacity and hope. Pretty soon we're going to have an exclusive concert by Eric Church. That's coming up in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, the good news, this is not CNBC, but I'm going to tell you, donations are rolling in. The cash is coming in. So thank you to Medita and Lana, new donors who just pledged a generous donation, and Kate Cooper gave $5,000 in a text to donations. Sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, also known as SUDEP, is the leading cause of mortality in people with uncontrolled epileptic seizures. Frank Kalume is a neuroscientist and CURE grant recipient. His dedication to finding an end to SUDEP is not only professional, it's personal. And he shared a message for us for tonight's event.
Good evening. I am Dr. Frank Kalume, a neuroscientist and associate professor in neurological surgery at the University of Washington. I'm also a principal investigator at Seattle Children Research Institute. My family was tragically and unexpectedly touched when my nephew passed away from SUDEP, sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. This event motivated me to dedicate my life to researching and finding the cure for this devastating condition. My research focuses on understanding how genetic mutations can cause epilepsy and understanding the mechanism behind SUDEP and other epilepsy-related conditions. With CURE funding, I've been studying whether making small environmental changes targeted to improving sleep quality can subsequently alleviate seizures and SUDEP risks. For centuries, it has been known in the scientific community that sleep and epilepsy share a close relationship. Seizure can lead to disturbances in sleep, and abnormal sleep can aggravate seizures. I hope, and it is my hope, that addressing sleep problems during epilepsy treatment may lead to better seizure and SUDEP prevention. Now, I would like to share a video introducing you to the Donalty family, a family that suffer greatly from SUDEP and its devastating impact. Their story illustrates the dire need for research like that funded by CURE, research that will allow us one day to make SUDEP a thing of the past.
Chris was a wonderful son. He was fiercely protective of his older sisters. He was very loyal to his friends. He would go anywhere or do anything for them. And he had epilepsy. He was diagnosed at age 16, 1 week prior to ending his senior year in high school. We just thought that it's manageable. He had epilepsy. He could take the medication and would be fine. We thought he was doing fine on the medication. And we were never told, nor was Chris, to our knowledge, told by his physician that he could die from this. He's buried just a mile from our house, and I go up, the first thing I do every morning is visit him, and the last thing I do every night is visit him. I'm not ashamed to admit that I cry every day. I'm not ashamed to admit that I miss him every day. We don't want another family to go through what we've gone through. And with whatever we can do in our small little way to prevent another family from having going through it, we want to do. And the epilepsy puzzle can be solved, and it requires the finances to do it, and that's why we're involved. So there is no other Chris. We do it for Chris.
Just think for a moment about that trip that Mr. Donalty takes every morning and each evening to the cemetery to speak to his son, Chris. Think about that, and then think about donating. While Chris's passing is perhaps the most devastating consequence of epilepsy, the Donalty family has worked hand in hand with CURE for nearly 2 decades to create a strong movement driving research, awareness, advocacy, and increased funding to tackle this problem. And indeed, CURE has led the charge, awarding over $4.5 million in 35 SUDEP research-focused grants. Now, you might remember earlier, I asked you to get a candle ready, and now is the time. My best friend, Julie Barnicle, the great Julie Barnicle, is right here with a candle. Miguel Cervantes, who provided our amazing opening number, happens to also be the husband of our board member, Kelly, and father to Adelaide. He, along with 2 friends from Broadway, performed a unique acoustic performance of an original song he wrote for his Ladybug called Till the Calm Comes. Since we can't be together in person tonight, we can unite with a simple gesture. So please join us right now in lighting a candle. You got it, Julie? There it is. We're privileged to be a part of an incredible community that is vibrant, active, and unrelenting in its shared vision, a world without epilepsy.
Ready? You that ready? No idea. Rolling? What? Okay. Sit here in this stool that was already here. Yep. It just happened to be there. All right. I don't like either one of you guys. Ready? 1, 2, perfect. Speed! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2.
is the part that makes either tears from a smile or ripped out by pain. And no, the sting, it feels the same, like the trails left on my face. And there's no way to know which way the wind blows today. I am only as strong as I seem, but that's enough for me to stay on my feet and say, I'll be here with my sword and my cape. I'll fight off these fears, and before it's too late, I'll make them disappear. I'll take your hand so you know I'm not letting go. I need you to know that you're stronger than me. My head's underneath all these stormy seas. My thoughts turn to you, and I'll stand and breathe. La 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 la. My sword and my cape, I'll fight off these fears, and before it's too late, I'll be here. And if the sky is too dark, we'll light up a spark and blow away the haze, so you can clearly see my face, and know right here is where I will remain till the calm comes. I hope that you can see right here is where I'll be.
Man, I can feel the love and smell the candles from here. You know, we're at about $1.5 million, and we have $200,000 left to go to meet our goal of $1.7 million. Here in Greater Boston, we've raised $225,000, that's locally, right here, Greater Boston, from Mass General Brigham and Health, Bank of America, Bloomberg Philanthropies, John and Eileen Connors, Michelle and Hannah and Howard Kessler, and John and Cindy Fish, along with Ann Finucane. Plus, I just received some exciting news that we're almost to our goal, and a generous supporter wants to help us get there and inspire others. Diane Raso, through the Ann G. and James B. Ritchie Foundation, has issued a matching grant of $50,000. If you give right now, your contribution of any amount will be doubled. This is such a great opportunity to double the impact of your gift and help us to fight for a world without epilepsy. So please, if you can, give generously. It's been a great night. To close out, joining us for an exclusive performance is one of the most popular artists in contemporary country music. With multiple #1 hits, he's won a host of Academy of Country Music and Country Music Association awards, including Album of the Year, and he's earned dozens of Grammy and other award nominations. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Eric Church.
Hey, I'm Eric Church. Thanks for joining us tonight for the Unite to Cure Epilepsy event. Your support is essential to fund promising research that we can hopefully one day finally cure this disease. These are strange times. I normally would be with you in person. As you can see, I'm not, like everything else this year. So I'd like to play a couple songs for you. One is, and the first song I'm going to do is a song about resilience. I had read a book about childhood grief, and basically it was addressing the heart, and it was, the premise of the book was, it's okay to cry, but never break heart. Don't ever let your heart break. And I think that in the time we're in this year especially, that's even more relevant than it's ever been. So this first song is called Never Break Heart. bringing a life into the world these days. It's cold, it's a load, it's a heavy stone that the heart can't take. Well, hurt's gonna keep on trying, and pain's gonna keep on crying. Way down deep, there's a beat gonna keep on fighting. So go on and get born, heart. Let your mama keep you warm, heart. And get down in the dirt, heart. Go and get hurt, heart. Live and let learn, heart. Don't let fear steal your brave, heart. Don't let doubt take your faith, heart. It's okay to cry, but don't never break, heart. If love's like drawing cards with a whiskey gypsy, she's a glass half full, take a pull, then a glass half empty. Well, I say lives are made for chances, and eyes are made for glances. When songs are played, the legs are made for dances. Go on, take her hand, heart. Draw a line in the sand, heart. Paint some color on a black heart. Don't look back, pull tight on the slack, heart. Don't let fear steal your brave, heart. Don't let doubt take your faith, heart. It's okay to cry, but don't never break, heart. When your time comes, heart, and when it's all said and done, heart, light starts to fade, heart, end of the day, but you still wanna stay, heart. Go on and be brave, heart. Go on, keep your faith, heart. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry, but don't never break heart. So, that's Never Break Heart, which I think a lot of us need to make sure that we don't do this year and during these times. And that's why when I was asked to do this event, it's very difficult during this time to be able to continue to do things like this and raise money. But at the same time, I think it's critical that we don't ignore those things, that we don't put off those things for a year, because so much of the other stuff around COVID, other diseases, other things are going to end up becoming much more of a problem if we don't continue to carry on and continue to do what we've always done. So thank you guys very much for having me. It's a great honor to play here. It's a great event, and it's a very critical event. So I'm gonna conclude. I'm gonna play one more song, and this song's called Record Year, which I'm hoping very much that next year is a record year, and this year's a record year for you guys as far as fundraising goes. But I'll be glad to see 2020 go too. So this is it's called Record Year. I'll dedicate it to 2021. How about that? Thank you guys for having me. Since you turned the tables on me, I've been steady learning lonely, keeping this turntable spinning on everything from Jones to Janice, slow to planning my survival in a 3-foot stack of vinyl. Since you had to walk out of here, I've been having a record year. I bet you thought before you left I'd just sit in silence by myself, turn this house into a jail, dying slow and a living hell. But love's got a funny way of keeping score, and your leaving lit up my scoreboard. I usually make it through side A sober, Bets are off when I flip her over. One bourbon, one scotch, one beer. I'm having a record year. Quarter notes and Hank's halftime. A pounding on this heart of mine. Song to song, I pass my time with these speakers on 10. You're good and gone, keeps me up all night, along with songs in the key of life. I'm either gonna get over you or I'm gonna blow out my ears. Yeah, you're out there now, doing God knows how, and I'm stuck here, having a record year. You even left me going crazy. I'm counting on a needle to save me. I drop it in the groove, and we go round and round and down in a spiral. I guess I really ought to call and thank you. I rediscovered red-headed stranger. Got down with old James Brown and found bluegrass revival. Yeah, you're out there now. And when you come back, I owe you a bit for my record year. Quarter notes and Hank's halftime. A pounding on this heart of mine. Song to song, I pass my time with these speakers on 10. You're good and gone, keeps me up all night, along with songs in the key of life. I'm either gonna get over you or I... Hope you guys have a record year this year. Thank you guys very much for having me. I'll see you soon.
You know, in Eric's first song, he sung the lyric, "It's okay to cry." There is indeed a lot to cry about these days. Many mornings you probably get up and you look at the news, or you hear the news before you go to bed, and you just shrug your shoulders and say, man, it's tough going on. It sure is tough. But I got to tell you, here at CURE, we are in the business of happy endings. We are in the business of tenacity. We are in the business of hope. So if you can help us, we'll give you tenacity, hope, and hopefully a happy ending and a cure for epilepsy. Thank you and good night.